I know you're not so used to silence today, so I started without talking. But I'm going to start my presentation now, and I think I have a good half an hour. It will be a journey with you. But first of all, I want to acknowledge Daniel, who we sadly lost in January, and his collaborator Annie is also in the picture, and he's here today. You can go to his Tumblr. There's a lot of things that you can discover, and I highly recommend, because I think that really captures what we have been talking today, especially from the artist's perspective. And I also want to acknowledge him because the content, or how to say, inspiration I got as an artist, as a researcher, they're like highly inspired by what he has done. So I want to start this way, and maybe, I know some of you had this meditation, but maybe we do another meditation for just for 1 minute. But basically this is the project he was doing with, also with Annie and others. This was on Zoom, but we can do it here as well. We can just close our eyes for 1 minute. If you're busy with your phone, maybe just leave it on or off, or with your laptop also. We can just close our eyes for 1 minute, and then I can be a comedian. So this was actually happening in Zoom for 15 minutes, but we leave the microphone on, so just like how we are hearing the noise, or maybe someone coughing, that was transmitted online, and that's what it was. And there's a lot of reflection also on his Tumblr. You can also find links to this project and other projects that you can dive into it. So now I'm going to talk about myself. Maybe I need to adjust this a little bit. And I have to be always conscious with how the screen looks like, the projection looks like. This is me. I'm Naoto. I'm originally from Japan. I lived in Canada, Germany, and now I study in Estonia. And maybe actually, maybe actually I will read the description that I thought it's like a brilliant text I wrote for this talk, but I think it was kind of cut, and only the first part was uploaded on the program. So it kind of doesn't make, well, it makes still sense, but I had this brilliant text, but I have to check where it was, because I sent to a friend some time ago. I think it was in January. This is not an archive, by the way. As you can see, I send a lot of photos to friends, not so much text. Okay, maybe I cannot find it. No. Okay, I found it. After image of the pixels, sweat and saliva on the laminate floor, meeting link without the host. When a live installation performance whatsoever ends, ephemeral and, parenthesis, semi, parenthesis end, permanent artifacts linger in the space. As an artist with neurodiversity / neuroqueerness, my practice lies in collecting and giving a new life to what I left. Screen recording of a live code improvisation becomes a YouTube link. A drawing of the trees I spontaneously danced for gets superimposed on my childhood painting, or a memory of a meaningless movement, turning the ashtray while having a conversation with a friend on a rooftop bar becomes a collectible card. I wrote a description of my talk. So I go back to this. I think it makes more sense now to talk about this banner that I made 2 years ago. This was for the diploma show at the Academy of Media Arts Cologne, where I did master's equivalent, which is Diplom 2. And I made this. I kind of hustled and found some money, although I ran out of the project budget, thanks to Lucius. And what I see in this picture is, I mean, this is just me printed as a banner, and morphed with a program with live coding. It's called Hydra. It's a live coding environment that you can code, and in real time the image gets distorted, for example, which I did. And actually the way I made it is I took a photo of myself and I used, I think, Mac preview app to subtract the background, and I fed it to Hydra, so you get this modulated version. But when I look at this image, so now it's a bit more serious part. So I see pants in the background, which suggests that I was not wearing pants when I took this photo. And this is a summer house of Liz. So when we had this excursion in the school, we were there, and I just had this spontaneous idea that I will take a photo of myself and make a big banner. So what's interesting to me is that with this image, with this photo, I can think of so many things. And I produced this, but I left so many things in this. From this photo, I can trace back so many things. And well, chronologically, it's actually happened before, but this is kind of like the work I do. And for example, I made this website, which actually, I think it's better to access and show it to you. Probably that's a better way to demonstrate. So I will go to the soup.glitches.me. If you're not on Wi-Fi, it might consume a lot of data, so please be careful. And basically, it's autobiographical work. By the way, now I said I'm a comedian. Oh, I thought I had a comedian card, but I don't have it. But I can show my info here, and it's okay, it's good. I know something fell, but it's okay. So basically, this is net art. Finally, we have net art on the projection I made. You can access, as I said, and this is basically tracing the memory of myself. This is baby me, and it's linked with a hashtag. So this is the place I grew up, Tsukuba. This is more like a recent photo I took, but the idea is that you can explore. Oh, it's not working.
Yeah, the camera stopped working.
I think there was the I was on low battery mode, and there was like a notification, and that crashed the capture. Let's see if it comes back. It's kind of makeshift setup, so bear with me. So you can imagine, or you can access soup.glitches.me, and there you can explore my stories, but in a way that is not always chronological. Okay, so you can see it now. This is a map I really liked. In Australia, I spent 1 year in Australia when I was in primary school, and so on. It's a little bit not so user-friendly, but this is my brain scanned. And you can create your own narrative by not following chronologically. And I think that's how our brain works. And then I had this opportunity. So I'm talking as an artist, right? So I made this net art, artist making art. And then I had this opportunity to do some, to be in an exchange program in Colombia. So, and that was in the Performing Arts Masters program in Colombia. So I was, this was a poster. It's not really visible, but you can probably see me in the green screen, and Comic Sans, my name, and this kind of thing I was doing. So it was corporeal work. By the way, it's getting really hot, so I'll undress. So as you can see, it is hot. I'm wearing like a few layers. It's not really homage to Jérôme Bel, but yeah, I always think about this. When I was like hearing about like Fluxus, I always think in my mind, I come up with an idea. Okay, as an artist, I should do this and that, and then the first thing I have to think is like, okay, Fluxus did it. I tell this to everyone. You know, people come to me. I have this great idea. I think Fluxus did it. But it's always good to have a reference. And it's actually, I think that was the kind of revelation, or I don't know, something happened in my brain that it's good that someone did it already, so I don't have to do it the same way, which saves a lot of time. Anyways, I made this, okay, so I said I did a performance, corporeal work, I was dancing, I was literally being a comedian on the stage, doing some gestures and some Japanese dance and so on. And it's a brilliant program. They're not teaching how to make a theater or performance. They talk about the material, what you bring, how you create performance, because you have sketches, drawings, whatever, photos you take to find inspiration and so whatsoever. And in Spanish, they call the performance gesto, which is literally a gesture in that program. And the gesto has to come with huella, which is footprint or traces, you can think. So that's exactly that probably we're interested when it comes to archiving. And exactly like this project I did became the Ouija. But in dance, people don't really like these kind of screens, and having this kind of screen when I'm presenting a dance or corporeal performance, it doesn't really come together well. So I decided to print them out. By the way, the performance sometimes look like this, and the space looked like this. As you can see, I like the timer. I was holding the phone with the timer, and I really like the timer in my performance. So this is a Ouija, for example, some prints that was made with Hydra and so on, and some pieces of cloth that were hanging, some lithography prints I made. These things I showed, and also I made a printed version of this website, which eventually became these cards. I should clear it up a bit. It's getting like my desk. And this table is a little bit sticky, so it doesn't slide well. So probably not for this magic trick, but I think I did it on the wrong side. I should show this way. So these cards, they have all these different memories about myself. Actually, this is really my favorite one, Pauli exclusion principle. You can see it like this. And I always imagine like an egg, but this should be supposed to be an atom. Anyway, so this like photo doesn't really like always represent the fact, but in my imagination, okay, this egg looks like an atom, so I put them together. This is a really playful project, and what I really like about it is that now I have these prints, well, printed cards, and digital representation at the same time. So I can pitch this to net art curators. I think there are a lot of them in this world, and also some other curators who are interested in physical stuff. This is a little bit meta, but I used these cards in the lecture in Japan, and basically this was on the website as well, and this is something I imagined to happen today. I have this overhead camera, and I shuffle the cards, and what is revealed, I talk about it for 4 minutes. And always 4 minutes is not long enough to talk about one card, so the timekeeper has to cut me, and that made a chaos. I used a similar strategy. I want to talk about this project, but maybe something I did recently was which cards? I've been making these cards. I'm going to talk about it later, and I still have my business card version, so if you are interested in me, please come. There are still three cards left, and so these are autobiographical cards that I trace my memory. And what if I think about not so much about, okay, this is distracting, not so much about the past, what happened to me, but what if I think about future, or to project, which, well, project, when we do projects as an artist, we're thinking about the future, what we want to create, what we want to have in the premiere, what we want to have in the opening. So I think I can use these strategies, well, this strategy, to do something for future, and I made these ideation cards, which are basically, well, in this case, they're like characters, objects that I created in my head while I was talking with my collaborator, Jorge Guevara, who's actually here 2 years ago as well. We visited together. And we created this performance, and the performance looked like something like this with Hydra and some glitches and so on. It was fun. The performance was quite fun. In the process, I made these cards. For example, Cult Guru. I have a special interest in reading about Japanese cults, but I couldn't finish Murakami's nonfiction about religion of Om. So this is, well, it doesn't really seem like a character, but I have this imagination that I can be a cult guru, that I can, I don't know, meditate and levitate. That's the actually what the, okay, let's not go too deep into this, but, okay, so fisherman. I learned Sorambushi, Japanese fisherman's dance, in middle school, and I intensively practiced when I moved to Montreal. So this is, well, character or some kind of movement I can do, but instead of like this kind of more like a Baroque type of notation, or I don't know, I forgot the name of that the notation, but or Laban notation, or there are a lot of like dance notations, but the way I started to think is like, what if I have these characters so that I can access? So, and this is, I think, quite common way to create choreography. I mean, everyone has different practice, but for example, Doris Ulrich, with who I sort of worked together, well, I took her workshops and I was kind of part of her show. She basically does this improvisation. Everybody like move together and naked, actually. And what happens is that you start to like find these icons, what she says, energetic icons, and you try to like work on that same movement, for example. And then afterwards you start to name them so that you can access them and you can kind of compose with the group. So I have this, I don't know, some painter, boxer movement. So just name something, just it can be really random or it can be really silly, or it can be like fisherman, something more figurative. And then you can kind of compose choreography. Okay, I'll have the fisherman first, and then it will culminate as cult guru that I will levitate or whatever. So this is not, this idea is like not completely like copyrighted by myself, but it's sort of informed by me taking workshops and doing dance as well. But the new thing is that, well, I know a lot of people make cards in their artistic practice, but what I'm interested now is how, so now I'm kind of switching from the my artistic brain to how I work with, as a researcher. I work at Tallinn University, I'm Naoto, and I'm a junior researcher at Tallinn University, which means I'm a PhD student. And I just started last year my research, and what I'm interested is how can we archive our process as a dancer, or I call them dance maker. I mean, because choreographer is a little bit charged word. How people choreograph, that's not exactly what I'm interested. I'm more interested in how they make dance. So it doesn't have to be choreographer, but anyone who's making dance. So I don't call myself a choreographer, but I make performances, so I'm sort of dance maker. So I interviewed some dance makers and and now in my research, in my process, I'm starting to make these cards, well, to reflect on my process as a autobiographic, autoethnographic process. So this was for my performance. It's not like mock cards, but something that I actually made for the performance. And now I'm starting to think how this can be translated to other people. I use this slide for the subliminal effect, and I think it fits nice with the previous speaker's organization, it's Rizal. The way I see it is that what I envision with these cards is not to have this kind of classical way of dance making, which is like you have this master. So I'm talking about this on the left, and everyone's following it. So there is just one trunk, and everyone's supporting this process, and everyone wants to be the best in this field. But what I'm interested is this one, which is, I'm not going to read it, but I also put another subliminal slide. So basically, like, how can we support each other? Because we talk about media art preservation, and this is already super hard. And when it comes to dance, it's also very hard. There are some masters, well, I'm talking about the image on the left, but for example, like Buto is now, it's like a big thing in the Western context. I think it's not as popular in Japan, but it came from Japan. It's one of the contemporary dance movement from Japan, started by Hijikata, and this is an image I somehow managed to hack their archive. They only have low resolution version, but if you change the URL, you can get the high resolution. So I managed to get it from their website. Well, it's online, right? And anyways, it's really rich. It's like his scrapbook. He took some images from the magazine, and he had some text written on it, annotation. And the way he was teaching his apprentices was basically talking about how, well, just in a nutshell, like how you feel, like not about how you move. And I think there is a slide somewhere, if I can find it. This is not it. But yeah, I think I lost it, but there is this reference. This really interesting website called butokaden.com. I found it. I'll just read one of the pages. So basically this is made by, well, collaboration with one of the apprentices of Hijikata, that because they have to take notes from Hijikata and they have to embody it somehow. That's how you transcribe choreography in their practice. Big flower petals curl up. The petals curl up, overlaying each other on your chest. The pattern by which they overlay decides the overall form. Face like an Oshiroibana flower or marble of Peru flower. Repeat overall image of such flowers. So that's really concrete choreography that I don't think I can do it. But basically this describes the choreography. I wouldn't say movement, but somehow Hijikata tells these stories and apprentices do this, which I think it's quite fascinating. And there's a lot of effort in this archive of Hijikata, so you can read these things and you can visit their archive in Japan. But again, this is like interesting to me, well, to a lot of people, but again, we're still in this left side that Hijikata or like few Buto masters, we're like doing research on him, on those group of people. But how can we transition to the right so that we, as dance makers, you know, everyone's, well, most of them freelancing and in a very, what's the word? Anyways, it's not really secure to be, you know, to pursue this kind of career. And my research I'm just starting is how can we, well, how can I support them, empower them by, for example, making these cards that I didn't say, but it has these QR codes. Well, QR codes, I know some people might be allergic, but I am actually allergic to it. But basically you scan it and you can upload whatever you write, and then add, for example, metadata or something, which is still under development. But the idea is that how can we make this kind of physical thing? As you can see in this image, people like physical stuff in making dance. So how can I make it kind of glue this practice of making physical, well, note-taking and digital world so that it doesn't get stuck in their practice, but somehow make it online, because not everyone has websites. So, well, people try, but it's always, you know, as we saw, always struggle to catch up with new projects and so on, and that's not their priority to make net art. That's not dance makers' priority, except a few of us, like some crazy people. Anyways, I don't know where it went, but I think time-wise it's good to wrap up. So if you're confused, please ask me questions. Like, I think I put so many things on the table already, so we can kind of organize it together in the Q&A. Thank you.